back. As I mentioned, we have Jeff Parker here, and it's Friday already.
And almost Halloween.
Weren't you just sitting here yesterday?
Just seems like it.
Turns around. This is getting scary.
It's a quick week this week.
Yes, and it is almost Halloween, and so I love this weekend, so I'm going to have a great time, and hopefully you will too.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, and it's amazing that we're just around the corner to November. It's been a very, very quick month.
Right, and again, challenging as it has been for the last several months. So you've got an update on COVID numbers for us.
Yeah, so to begin with, as we can see up on the chart, we had 229 cases in Orange County. One additional death was reported. Probably the most significant thing for looking at this chart is that our hospitalizations are up a little bit. We were in the 160s. And now we're up at 189. Now the ICU numbers at 59 are pretty stable. That's not gone up any major number.
Right.
But the 181 is up about 25 over what we saw.
Keep an eye on that, and that does not move to the cases currently in ICU, because wait a minute. So it says includes ICU cases.
Yeah, it's included.
Oh, I didn't see. Oh, okay.
So they're included in there,
okay.
but just the fact that the 59's pretty stable, but the 181 is a little bit of bump.
Okay.
So
okay.
We got to watch that. I mean, obviously, we've been at higher numbers, but for the issue with the hospitalization is just the capacity to treat people,
right.
and want to be able to do that. Orange County's in pretty good shape with regards to all of its hospitals that can do that. But it may be a showing also of this little uptick that everybody's seeing. I mean, in the United States, obviously, we've had some of the highest numbers that we've seen. Luckily, California's not in that high number as far as increases, but they are seeing an uptick. And this shows you that uptick. So now when you look at that, remember we're talking about we're in tier 2, which is the red tier. And in order to get to the moderate, we had to get below 4. Well, we were in this first column, we were in the low 4s. We were heading that way. And then we sat there at 4.6, 4.7. We've now jumped back up to 5.1. And the impact of that obviously means it's going to take longer time to get a chance to get into the moderate. The other one I wanted to mention was the third column there, the 6%. That's the health equity quartile. That's the new one. And that's taking into context all of the areas in Orange County, and high areas and low areas, not just an average. And so that percentage of 6 needs to get down to the low 5s in order to get to the orange. And see, it was in the 5 to begin with, and now it's at 6. So we're seeing an uptick, just like the rest of the country is. Luckily for Orange County, it's not as big an uptick. And for the village, we've had a couple more cases. We're at 72 now, where we were at 70.
In Laguna Woods in general.
Yeah, in Laguna Woods. Not in the village, in Laguna Woods. Thank you for that clarification. Again, unfortunately for our residents here, I can't tell you whether it's in the village or in the city. Right. And we do know that outside our gates, we have nursing homes and assisted living facilities, and they get more counts than most places do. So it's fair to say that there's a good chance that it's not in the village, but we'll keep watching that. Okay. And then, we just keep watching these counts, and hopefully Monday when we talk, we'll see a downtick. The interesting things now is going to be, as we've seen with holidays, what does it mean? Now, most people aren't trick-or-treating. We're having very few activities publicized, at least from that perspective. So wearing these masks is critical. If your kids are going out trick-or-treating, social distancing and all of that, and being really, really safe is so critical, because kids can get it and then spread it.
Right, exactly.
And that's the part that is most challenging probably for the medical side, is that young adults, children who can get it, but they don't have symptoms, they're asymptomatic. Then they come home, they pass it to a grandparent or a parent. Right. And that's where it can get serious. So being careful with that. Now we're heading into the Thanksgiving and Christmas and December holidays, and so I think everybody's a little worried about that, and knowing that, again, what I said the other day, which I think is real important for everybody in the village and everybody out there, is get your flu shot. Yeah. Because that is a way to just help offset those kind of things that are coming at you. If you get the flu and get weakened immunity, and then COVID comes around, it's even worse. And so, highly recommend people go out and get their flu shot.
Now, in regards to the holidays, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, I think that it's very concerning, as you mentioned, because people do want to get together. And that's, I think, the toughest thing. And I've talked to, I think I mentioned before, my father, who's 90, he lives in Texas, and they're seeing an uptick there. But they really are putting a lot of restrictions down more than California. So I'm not going to be traveling there. So when you consider traveling and you are going to go visit family, consider where it is you're traveling to, because some of these numbers are high. And this is something that you mentioned in our community, that you could go to the area that is high in numbers and then come back here, and then maybe you get it, right? And then you spread it here. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things to take into consideration, especially now.
And there's so many things going on. You know, we have the election, so people are going out voting. They're getting out there more. So it opens up the possibility of COVID spreading even more. And it's real unfortunate, because especially like you said, for the holidays, people like to get their families together. And you mentioned something that I think is really prevalent. If you are traveling, make sure you look where you're traveling to, because they may have quarantine. They may have a restriction where you can't even get to where you want to go. And so be careful when you're setting up your travel plans if you are going to travel.
Yeah, some are requiring COVID that you get tested.
Before you
and
go.
That has to be within 72 hours of your flight. And then you need to go to a provider that state has partnered with, and I know this is true for Hawaii. Says my brother just went, and that's a lot of hoops to jump through. But nonetheless, they're trying to keep everybody, at bay and make sure that the numbers don't go up. But not to scare everybody. I mean, we certainly want you to have a lovely holiday, but again, just take those things into consideration. So, all right, and then you did mention voting. Now we have our own elections here, the United and Third.
And that I wanted to make note of that, because it is Friday. We have heard, that you got the mail has may potentially slowed down. You can still mail in your ballot as long as it gets to the P.O. box by 11 o'clock on Monday. And so that's critical. But I would encourage people to think about that, just because if you put it in the mail and it doesn't get here in time, that's problematic in a sense, and we want you to get out and vote. We have the box at the community center. It's open until 5 o'clock on Monday, so that we can count the votes on Tuesday. So probably suggest at least considering bringing your ballot by as opposed to putting it in the mail. Don't want to tell you not to put it in the mail. Don't want to tell you how to do it. Just suggesting from a security point of view and a safety point of view to make sure it's counted. If you bring it down to the community center by 5 o'clock on Monday, we'll make sure it gets counted. And we want you to vote. We want you to vote.
Absolutely. Everybody needs to vote for sure. And then, of course, we also have the national election that's also going on. So there's an awful lot of ballots too. So make sure you put the ballot in the right box. There's a lot of places to put your ballots. And then I know that there has been a lot of progress on the network outage that we have. And so I think the last time you were here, you're talking about the phones are up, call-in services, online services are up. Tell me how that's going.
So it is going, but slowly. And the emails and the phone systems are up, so people can call resident services, can email resident services, and we're getting that information, we're logging it in, and we're getting that work orders out to our staff. The difficulty is getting the work orders transferred over to the working group, because we don't have the backup information with regards to that yet. We're still working on reconfiguration of all of our computers with regards to that type of activity. So that's going a little slower than had anticipated. So we will be working on that very diligent, not over the weekend. Our IT staff and Chuck Holland's just been doing a fantastic job, but they are literally working almost 24/7 to get everything back up to speed. What is critical for us, the next step, is that now that we can communicate, making sure that if you have an emergency, if you have a plumbing issue that has to be addressed immediately, we're getting to those. And then as far as work orders that are in place or already in place, trying to organize those so that we can catch up. But it's going to take a little while, and we appreciate the patience of our residents in communicating that through our office. It seems to resonate with our residents that we're getting to it. It's just it's slow, but it's real important that we do it right and that we get it right.
Exactly. I mean, that's a huge undertaking for our IT, so more power to them, and they are doing a great job. So,
Right.
All right, well, perfect. Well, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Try not to eat too much candy.
Gonna
Because there
try.
may not be any trick-or-treaters, so you'll be eating the whole bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
You too. Thank you.
We'll see you again on Monday. And right when we return, we will have an update from Brian Gilmore with United. Stay tuned.